Let me tell you something that might shock you. If you are in debt right now and you are only making the minimum payments, you will likely be in debt for the rest of your life. The banks love it when you do this. They look at you and see a cash cow that is going to pay them triple what you borrowed over the next 25 years. You look at your statement and ask, how did this get so high? Stop relying on willpower to get out of this hole. Willpower will fail you. Today, I am going to give you the brutally honest, step-by-step mathematical playbook to crush your debt in the next 6 months so you can finally get your financial freedom back. First, I need you to understand one thing. If you are trying to pay off debt by playing defense, you are already losing. Defense is when you stare at the balance, feel ashamed, make a tiny payment, promise yourself you will be better next month, and then life happens. A birthday dinner, a stressful week, a car repair, a sale you couldn't miss, a late night swipe because you felt like you deserved a little relief after getting punched in the face by life all week. That is defense. Defense is reactive. Defense is emotional. Defense is, I hope this month goes better. Hope is not a debt payoff plan. Hope is what broke people use when they do not have a system. Offense is different. Offense says, I am done negotiating with my bad habits. Offense says, this debt is not some mysterious fog hanging over my life anymore. It is now a target, it has a number, it has a date, it has a kill plan. Offense means every dollar gets assigned before your emotions get a vote. Offense means the money leaves your checking account automatically before your brain can rationalize some little treat, some little reward, some little emergency that somehow always turns into another swipe. And let me be very clear, if you are carrying consumer debt, you do not have a spending problem because you lack intelligence. You probably have a spending problem because the system was built to make losing feel normal. They market credit cards like status. They package debt like convenience. They dangle points, miles, cashback, rewards, exclusive offers, premium membership, all this shiny nonsense, while quietly charging you 22, 25, 29% interest. That is like someone handing you a coupon for free French fries while they steal your car out of the parking lot. You are celebrating the points while they are siphoning away years of your future income. So I want to validate something before I rip the excuses apart. If you feel overwhelmed, exhausted, ashamed, numb, even hopeless, that does not mean you are weak. It means you have been carrying a psychological backpack full of bricks every single day. Debt is not just math, it is mental bandwidth. It follows you when you wake up. It rides with you to work. It sits next to you when you eat dinner. It makes every unexpected expense feel like a crisis. So no, it is not completely your fault that this system is designed to trap distracted, stressed, normal human beings. But listen carefully. It is now 100% your responsibility to get out. Not because that is fair, because that is reality. And the first myth we need to destroy is this pathetic little sentence people repeat to themselves when the numbers get huge. It's already so bad, trying to pay it off won't make a difference anyway. That sentence is poison. If you are $10,000 in debt and you throw an extra $500 at it this month, you are not barely making a dent. You are buying back interest. You are shrinking the predator attached to your neck. You are shortening your sentence. The person who says, well, what difference does it make, is basically standing in a burning house saying, one bucket of water won't solve it, so I might as well pour gasoline on myself. That mindset is not realism. That is surrender disguised as sophistication. Now let's talk about the trap almost everybody falls into. Minimum payments. A minimum payment is not a helpful monthly guideline. It is not the bank trying to make your life manageable. It is not a friendly suggestion. It is a prison ration. Let's use simple math. Say you owe $10,000 on a card at 24% APR. That is 2% interest per month. On a $10,000 balance, that is about $200 in interest in month one. Now imagine your minimum payment is 2.5% of the balance, so maybe around $250. You know what just happened? You paid $250 and $200 of it did absolutely nothing except feed the interest machine. You only killed $50 of principal. 50. You worked all month. You stressed all month. You made the payment, and your balance barely moved. That is why people feel like they are on a treadmill covered in glue. Because they are. Now let's make it uglier. Minimum payments usually shrink as the balance shrinks. So you do not even keep paying that $250. It slowly drops, which means the payoff period stretches out and stretches out and stretches out. A $10,000 balance at high interest, paid at the minimum, can drag on for decades. Decades. Think about that. A purchase you barely remember can still be haunting you when your hairline is different, your kids are older, your rent is higher, and your life has moved on. The minimum payment is the financial version of a parasite that promises not to kill you, just feed on you forever. And then they put that minimum payment on the statement like it is some official benchmark, and people mentally anchor to it. Well, if the statement says the minimum is $237, maybe that's what I'm supposed to pay. No, that is what they hope you pay. There is a difference. Here is the reframe I want burned into your brain. The minimum payment is not the amount that helps you. It is the amount that helps them. So, if you want to pay off $10,000 in 6 months, the math has to get aggressive. 6 months means, roughly speaking, you need to eliminate about $1,667 of principal per month. And because interest is still trying to bite you while you do this, you realistically want a monthly attack number closer to $1,700, maybe $1,800, depending on the APR. That means this is not a cute little budgeting challenge. This is a temporary financial war. And that leads to the two payoff frameworks that actually work. The first is the Debt Avalanche. This is the mathematically superior system. If your goal is to pay the least interest possible and get the most efficient result, this is the champion. Here is how it works. You list all your debts from highest interest rate to lowest interest rate. Not by balance. Not by which one annoys you the most. Not by whichever app has the angriest color. By interest rate. Then you make the minimum payments on every debt except the one with the highest APR. That one gets every extra dollar you can squeeze out of your life. Why is this mathematically superior? Because interest rate is the price of your debt. If one card is charging you 29% and another is charging you 12%, the 29% card is the one actively chewing through your future the fastest. Every extra dollar you throw at that card stops the highest cost debt from compounding against you. It is like plugging the biggest leak in the boat first. Let's say you have 3 debts. Card A, $3,000 at 29%. Card B, $4,000 at 22%. Loan C, $3,000 at 11%. If you have $1,800 a month to attack debt, the Avalanche says pay the minimum on B and C, then drop the hammer on A until it is dead. Once A is gone, you roll that entire payment into B. Then when B dies, you roll the whole thing into C. This creates a payment snowplow. Your total attack budget stays high, but the number of balances falls one by one. Over time, this usually saves you the most money. Not a little, sometimes a lot, especially when the highest rate debt is truly predatory. The Avalanche is for the person who says, show me the numbers, I do not care about feelings, I want the most efficient outcome. But now let's be honest about reality. Human beings are not spreadsheets with legs, which is why the second system exists, the Debt Snowball. The Debt Snowball is psychologically superior. This is the system for people who need momentum more than optimization. You list your debts from smallest balance to largest balance. Again, you make minimum payments on everything except the smallest balance. That smallest one gets every extra dollar until it disappears. Then you roll that payment into the next smallest balance and the next and the next. Mathematically, the snowball is often slightly less efficient because you might leave a high-interest debt alive longer. But psychologically, it can be a monster because quick wins change behavior. Imagine somebody has 5 debts, $400, $900, $1,600, $3,000, and $4,100. If they attack the $400 debt first, they can knock it out fast. Then they kill the $900. Suddenly, two accounts are gone. Their brain starts to believe change is real. Their identity shifts from "I'm drowning" to "I'm dangerous." That matters, because paying off debt is not just about interest calculations. It is about sustaining action long enough to finish the game. This is where a lot of financial advice gets stupid. People love arguing online about Avalanche versus Snowball like there is one morally correct answer. There isn't. The best system is the one you will actually execute for 6 straight months without folding every time life gets annoying. So choose the Avalanche if you are disciplined by numbers. Choose the Snowball if you are fueled by visible wins. Just do not choose random. Random is what broke got you. Now, whichever system you choose, you need to automate it like your future depends on it. Because it does. Willpower is useless at scale. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Willpower is useless at scale. If your debt payoff plan depends on you waking up motivated every payday, feeling inspired after work, resisting every temptation, remembering all the due dates, manually moving money around, and making the right call while tired, hungry, lonely, stressed, or bored, your plan is trash. You need a system that works on the days you feel powerful and the days you feel pathetic. Here is what that looks like. The day your paycheck hits your checking account is not payday anymore. It is deployment day. The money already has a mission. If you get paid on Friday, the debt payment should be scheduled for Saturday morning. Not 2 weeks later. Not sometime this month. Not after you see what is left. If you wait to see what is left, I can tell you what will be left. Less than you planned. Set up automatic payments for every minimum due amount so you never get clipped by late fees or penalty APR. Then set up an additional automatic payment to your target debt the day after payday. Not the day of, because sometimes payroll timing gets weird. The day after. Clean, reliable, ruthless. And I want you to use a separate checking account if you need to. One account receives income and pays bills. Another account is your spending account. When the paycheck lands, your bills, minimums, and aggressive debt payment leave first. Then your weekly spending money moves to the spending account. What remains is not extra. It is assigned. This matters because most people do not have a math problem. They have an access problem. Now, if the money sits in the same account as the debit card, they spend it. You need friction. Make it inconvenient to sabotage yourself. Delete stored card information from your favorite shopping apps. Remove the card from food delivery apps. Freeze the physical credit cards in a drawer. Cut them up, lock them, whatever you need. If you are telling me you are serious about getting out of debt while still keeping all your cards one thumbprint away at midnight, you are not serious. You are just emotionally attached to having an escape hatch. Now let me walk you through the exact automation process. Step 1. List every debt balance, APR, minimum payment, and due date on one page. Not in your head, not scattered across 6 apps. One page. Step 2. Choose Avalanche or Snowball. Step 3. Calculate your monthly attack number. If the target is $10,000 in 6 months, start with at least $1,700 a month. If you can do $2,000, even better. If you can only do $1,200 from your current income, then the remaining gap is not a mystery. That gap must come from selling things, temporary cuts, overtime, side work, or all 4. Step 4. Set automatic minimum payments on all debts. Step 5. Set the extra payment to your target debt for the day after each paycheck. If you are paid twice a month, split the amount in half. If you are paid weekly, divide it by 4. This is powerful because smaller, more frequent attacks feel easier and reduce the chance that you'll spend the lump sum. Step 6. Hold a 10-minute weekly money meeting with yourself. Not a 3-hour shame spiral, 10 minutes. Check balances. Confirm payments went through. Move any extra money from under budget categories straight to the target debt immediately. Windfall, tax refund, sold an old laptop, got paid for a side job. It does not sit around, it gets weaponized. Now let's talk about something that can save you a disgusting amount of money in 5 minutes. Calling your credit card companies and negotiating your APR down. Most people never do this because they assume the answer is no, or they feel embarrassed, or they think only financial experts can negotiate. Wrong, you are a customer. They want to keep your balance with them. They know if you move it, pay it off, or default, that affects them. You have more leverage than you think. Here is the first script. Use your normal voice. Calm, professional, no rambling. Hi, I'm reviewing my finances and I'd like to request a reduction in my APR. I've been making payments and I want to pay this balance down aggressively. Can you lower my interest rate today? Then shut up. If they say no, you do not thank them and hang up like a scared child. You keep going. I understand. Can you check whether there are any promotional APR offers, retention offers, or hardship programs available on my account? If they still resist, go one level deeper. I'm actively working to pay this balance off, and I'm comparing my options. If there's any way to reduce the APR, even temporarily, it would help me stay with your company and pay this down faster. Can you review the account again, or transfer me to the department that handles rate reviews? That line matters, because sometimes the first person is basically a human FAQ page. You need the person with actual authority. If they transfer you, repeat this. I'm calling to request an APR reduction on this account. I'm committed to paying this balance down and I'm looking for any interest reduction, promotional rate, or hardship option available today. And if you have a decent payment history, use it. I've been a customer for a while and I've been making my payments. I'm asking for a rate reduction so I can pay this off faster. If they offer you something, even a temporary cut, ask the follow-up question almost nobody asks. When does the new rate take effect? How long does it last? And is there anything I need to do to keep it active? Because details matter. Let's say you owe $5,000 on one card at 28% APR. That is about $117 a month in interest. If a 5-minute phone call gets that rate dropped to 18%, your monthly interest falls to about $75. That is roughly $40 a month freed up immediately on that balance alone. Over 6 months, that is real money. Across multiple cards, a few successful calls can save you hundreds, sometimes thousands, especially if it helps more of your payment go toward principal instead of interest. And if they say absolutely no, fine. Hang up. Call again another day. Different rep, different mood, different result. This is not begging. This is business. Now, while we are ripping apart bad ideas, let's deal with debt consolidation and 0% APR balance transfer fantasies. These things are sold like salvation. Consolidate your debt. Transfer your balances. Simplify your life. And I need you to hear me clearly. If the behavior that created the debt does not change, all you did was move the body to a different room. I've seen this story 1,000 times. Somebody has 3 maxed out cards. They feel buried. Then a shiny new offer shows up promising 0% APR for 12 or 18 months, with a little transfer fee. They feel clever. They move the balances. They breathe. They think they just hacked the matrix. And then what happens? Because the pressure is off, they start spending again. The old cards are suddenly available. The new card feels manageable because interest is paused. They tell themselves, I'll pay it down before the promo ends. But they do not build a spending system. They do not freeze the cards. They do not automate the payoff. They do not confront the emotional spending. 18 months later, the promo expires, the rate explodes, the balance is still there, and now they have even more debt because they use the old cards again. That is not a solution. That is a shell game with a hangover. Same with debt consolidation companies. Some are expensive, some drag the process out, some negotiate in ways that wreck your credit or create tax consequences. And the real issue remains untouched: the habits. If you do not fix the leak, I do not care how many buckets you buy. Now, can a lower rate transfer ever be useful? Sure, in the hands of a disciplined person who freezes spending, closes loopholes, automates the payoff, and treats the deadline like a bomb timer. But that is not magic. That is a tactical move inside a bigger system, and most people are looking for magic because systems are uncomfortable. Which brings me to the "I had a hard week, I deserve to treat myself" mindset. This one is brutal because it feels so reasonable in the moment. You got yelled at by your boss, your kid got sick, your relationship is weird, you are tired, you are carrying debt stress, so you buy something, little reward, little dopamine hit, little meal, little outfit, little weekend escape, little "I'll deal with it later." Listen to me. If you are actively trying to pay off debt and you are still using a credit card to fund treats because you had a hard week, that is like eating a triple cheeseburger while trying to run a marathon. Then halfway through the race, you stop and say, "Why is this so hard?" Because you're doing two opposite things at the same time. You are trying to get free while rehearsing the behavior that keeps you trapped. And I know some people hate hearing that because it sounds harsh. Good. Harsh is useful when gentle lies have been failing you for years. I am not saying you need to live like a monk forever. I am saying 6 months. 6 months of discipline to buy back years of freedom. That is the trade. You do not need luxury while you are in a financial emergency. You need oxygen. Picture someone named Eric. He owes 10 grand across 4 cards. He says he wants out. He means it every Sunday night. But every Thursday, after a terrible week, he orders delivery 3 times, buys concert tickets, and tells himself he needs something to look forward to. Then the statement comes. He feels defeated. He says the balance is too big anyway, so he checks out emotionally. That cycle is not about money. It is about using spending as anesthesia. You cannot out-budget emotional anesthesia with a spreadsheet alone. You have to replace the behavior. Go for a walk, call a friend, go to the gym, cook something, sit in discomfort. Journal the craving. Scream into a pillow. "I do not care." But stop swiping poison and calling it self-care. Here is the good news. Once the system is in place, your life gets lighter fast. The first month is ugly because you are confronting reality. The second month is powerful because you see balances move. The third month is when momentum becomes addictive. Suddenly you're not asking, "Can I do this?" You are asking, "How much faster can I finish?" That is the shift. You stop being a victim of your statements and become the executioner of your debt. So here's your 6-month playbook in plain English. Face the full number. No hiding. Pick Avalanche or Snowball. No random payments. Set automatic minimums on everything. Schedule aggressive extra payments for the day after every paycheck. Call every card and ask for an APR reduction, a promo rate, or a hardship plan. Cut access to the cards. Create friction between your emotions and your money. Increase income temporarily and slash anything non-essential until the debt is gone. And every single week, check the scoreboard. Not because you need motivation, because what gets measured gets murdered. You do this for 6 months and you will not just change your bank account. You will change your identity. You will prove to yourself that you are capable of sustained, structured, adult financial behavior. And once you do that, the rest of personal finance gets easier because now you trust yourself. The goal is not just to be debt-free. The goal is to become the kind of person who no longer needs debt to survive normal life. That is freedom. That is peace. That is leverage. And that starts the moment you stop treating minimum payments like a plan and start treating debt payoff like a mission. Don't let the banks steal your wealth. Click the link below to use our free debt payoff calculator to find out the exact month and year you will be 100% debt-free.